Now, I know you already know that labor is challenging, but there are some things that I see women do that make labor and birth harder than it needs to be. I want to help you labor smarter, not harder. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the 7 things that are making labor harder than necessary and what you can incorporate instead to make birth easier that have nothing to do with pain medication. I'm Bridget. I'm a childbirth educator, birth doula, and a mama to 3. I've had 1 baby at the hospital and 2 at home and have supported lots of mamas both at home and in the hospital. So I'm here sharing some of my tips with you so that you can have a happier, healthier, and easier birth. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Okay, so let's jump in with number 1, going to the hospital too early on in labor. Labor unfolds best under conditions that feel safe, they're undisturbed, quiet, private, warm, and dark. Because hospitals are generally not the most comfortable places for moms because they're more unfamiliar, they're filled with disturbances, loud noises, they're often cold, generally more on the sterile side, and brightly lit. Transferring to the hospital at any point in labor generally causes it to slow down or even stop, but especially if you are early on in labor. Laboring at the hospital can make it harder for labor to get going and keep progressing, and make it more challenging for moms to find their labor flow and cope with labor. On the flip side, laboring longer at home where you are in your own familiar space with people that you know, with your personal comforts, things that you control like lights, temperature, noises, etc., actually helps your body to relax and allow labor to progress better and encourage you to cope with the intensifying labor sensations. Now, if you're stressing out about laboring at home and knowing how to stay calm, knowing the stages of labor, signs of where you are in labor, and when to go to the hospital, you need to take my Built to Birth course that teaches you all of those things and how to best support normal, natural, physiologic birth. And that is linked down below. But let's talk about the second thing that I see often making labor harder: incorrect breathing. Most people, because we live in just a chronic state of stress, already have a dysfunctional way of breathing. Then you add in the intensity of what labor feels like, plus the fears that many women carry into birth because they are uninformed or disempowered, and the tendency for them is to hold their breath or hyperventilate because they're terrified. And this does a few different things in the body. 1, it puts their nervous system into a state of panic or fight or flight, which slows down labor. And 2, it creates tension in the body that creates more pain when contractions come. And 3, your mind tells your body that the sensations that you're experiencing are bad, so you fight your contractions instead of working with them. So instead of holding your breath or hyperventilating, you can do the de-stressor breath. To do this breath, you inhale through your nose for 4 to 6 seconds and exhale through your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds. And as you're doing this breath work, you're relaxing as many muscles in your body as you possibly can. The breath is my number 1 tool to bring into labor, and because it's such a valuable tool that so many women have used in labor, I've made a whole video about it. So if you haven't watched, make sure you click the link up in the corner of this video and watch it right after this one. The de-stressor breath down-regulates the nervous system so that you can stay in that calm and connected state to keep labor progressing. And this slow breathing helps you relax your muscles so contractions are 1, more effective, and 2, more manageable. Number 3, moms don't eat or properly hydrate in labor. Labor is hard work, and your uterus is a muscle. It needs fuel to work well. Plus, think about your mental state when you have food. You're usually happier, you're more optimistic, you're focused and motivated, and all of those things you want to bring into your labor experience. Eating when you're hungry and drinking electrolytes helps your body function for the physical side of labor and helps your mind to function for the mental side of labor. I've linked my favorite electrolytes down below, and this is a really important part of hydrating because just drinking plain water doesn't give your body the minerals that it needs to allow your cells to adequately absorb the water. Electrolytes really help hydrate your body better, which is really essential during labor. Number 4, moms don't change positions in labor. A lot of times, moms will find one position that feels decent in labor, and they're going to want to stay in that position for a long time. But movements from mom equals movement for baby. And your baby has to do several position changes called cardinal movements in order to come through the vaginal canal and the pelvis to be born. I teach you all of this in my free mini birth class that you can sign up for right below in the description. Movement brings improvement. So ideally, you want to be changing positions at least every 30 minutes. Now, thankfully, when you are laboring without pain meds and you're able to be calm and connected, your body and baby will guide your movements. This intuitive movement will help baby navigate the space in mama's body to be born. However, if mama is ever feeling stuck in labor and isn't calm and connected, she can use specific movements depending on where baby is in her body to keep labor progressing. Or if baby seems to be stuck in a certain position, keeping labor stalled, certain positions can be used to open up different levels of the pelvis so that baby can pass through them. That's a lot to get into in this video, but I teach you all about the levels of the pelvis and walk you through movements that open up each level and provide you position cheat sheets to bring with you when you're in labor in my Built to Birth class, which again is linked in the description below. Now, number 5 is that moms only labor on land. What do I mean by this? I mean that they don't hop in the shower or the tub to utilize hydrotherapy. Women who labor in water generally have shorter labors, better pain management, and fonder birth experiences. Hydrotherapy is an amazing tool to use in labor to help you manage labor sensations so that you stay calmer and encourage you to relax the muscles in the body so you're not fighting against your contractions. I've had 3 babies and I birthed 2 on land and 1 in the water, but for all of them, I utilized water at some point in labor. When I gave birth in the tub for my 3rd birth, it helped immensely with my back labor. Now, number 6 is that moms opt for continuous fetal monitoring. Continuous fetal monitoring means you're constantly monitoring baby's heart rate and usually your contractions as well. This type of monitoring is correlated with higher rates of C-section and, in my experience, makes it harder for women to labor freely because they are tethered by wires and bands. If you and your baby are healthy and you're not using medication in labor, you can request intermittent oscillation using a Doppler. With this method, you can labor freely, however or wherever you want, which makes it easier to get into your flow state, move your body to encourage labor progress, and tune into your baby and trust the birthing process. And then the 7th thing that can make labor more challenging than it needs to be is mama's pushing before feeling the fetal ejection reflex. The fetal ejection reflex occurs alongside the climax of labor hormones and when baby gets low enough into the birth canal that the expulsion reflex is triggered. 2 common experiences that I see in the hospital is that when a woman is 10 centimeters dilated, her providers tell her that it's time to start pushing. However, being 10 centimeters dilated does not mean that your baby is low enough in the birth canal to make pushing effective. In fact, many women experience a rest period between full dilation and feeling the urge to push, where surges space out a bit and mama gathers her energy to get to the finish line of birth. Other times, women don't experience the fetal ejection reflex at all because their environment is too disruptive for her labor hormones to flow properly, or mama has received medications like an epidural that have inhibited that hormonal cocktail as well. What can happen in the absence of the fetal ejection reflex is that the pushing stage becomes much longer and can be more exhausting because mama is having to do all the work on her own without the help from her body. Waiting till you have the urge to push is a big one when it comes to making labor easier and setting up your environment so even the pushing stage stays calm and connected. So mama, those are 7 things that can make labor harder and what you can do instead to make labor easier on yourself and your baby. If you want to learn how to fully labor smarter, not harder, take the Built to Birth course that's right up here in this corner of the video and down below as well. And if you're not ready to jump into the full course yet, don't forget to take advantage of the free mini birth class as well. Thanks for being with me in this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, mamas.